This will be my first video covering the weekly settlement of my account. As I stated earlier, I sell contracts on Monday that expire the following Friday of that week. So my risk is 5 days. And the premium that I receive is for that 5-day risk. So theoretically, holidays notwithstanding, I should be able to turn these contracts 52 times a year. Anyway, so I'm going to attempt to explain what happened during the settlement. And we're going to have to splice in some screenshots of my account to walk you through that. So let me splice my first screenshot in here, and then I'll talk about it. You know, this may be the easiest way to deal with this, is just to print it out and show it on the screen, although that's not very steady. But in point of fact, it's easier to read than at any rate, to get back to my explanation, so I had 15 contracts sold, actually 22, because 7 of them were exercised and then I sold them again, but I was able to cover 15 contracts on Monday. Now, the way you measure success in selling covered options is how many contracts can you cover, because the more contracts you can cover means greater income. So at any rate, so I had the put contracts, 8 of them, exercised, which put 800 shares of HBI stock on me at $10 a share. Then I had 7 call contracts exercised, which means that 700 shares of HBI that I had in my inventory was called away at $8. For all of that, I took in $2,055. Now, if I just liquidated the shares that were put on me at market price, I was still cleared $55. So, but the good thing is I'm not done yet, because I'm going to resell I'm going to use those 700 shares, or 800 shares that were put on me. It was 800 shares that were put on me, 700 called away, to cover the sale of call options, And I'm going to use the cash to sell 8 put contracts. I'll show you that, the effect of that right now. Okay, what that last chart showed was the current status of my account, the pending items. The first one is a dividend that I got on the stock from earlier, and it'll be credited to my account on the 14th. But what's important are the 2 contracts, the put contracts and call contracts. So I sold, or got an order in to sell, 8 $9 put contracts, which, by the way, would lower my cost basis, because remember before those were put on me, I was selling using a strike price of $10. On the other hand, I sold some stock at had some calls at $8. But at any rate, so for those, if that order is filled, I've got a limit price of 40 cents a share. If that is in fact filled, I will receive a premium of $320. And I get that immediately, whether it's exercised or not. Then the second entry there is for the $9 call contracts. And if that is filled, that's 8 of those. If that is filled, that's $160 in premium income. And that would be $1 more than I sold the last batch. So I've recovered some of that, assuming this, in fact, gets filled. Just depends on how the market opens on Tuesday. Remember, Monday is Labor Day, so the market's closed. So I got these out there. They're queued up for execution. I got to do nothing. They'll be submitted to the market on Tuesday morning when the market opens. And they'll either fill or they won't. And if they don't fill, I'll look and see what the bid prices are. And I may have to adjust my asking price somewhat. So, but here's the important point. Assuming they're filled, well, this is $480 of additional premium income added to the $2,055 that I've already received in this transaction set, which brings that total up to $2,530. I'm doing that in my head. So here again, the price of the stock is staying in a pretty narrow range, and given the amount of premiums I'm collecting. So, but here again, because I've got both puts and calls, would have puts and calls contracts sold, they're unlikely both to be, in fact, it'd be impossible for both of them to be executed at the same time. I have had situations where the stock closed at exactly the strike price, which means not all of them were exercised. But anyway, that's pretty rare. It's very great when it is, but it doesn't happen often. So the bottom line is, on the transaction set, remember your premiums are cumulative. You're receiving that every Monday. It's a lot of money. So while some weeks, like this one that just passed, I don't consider to be the best, on the other hand, it's going to add up to some real money. And on good weeks, man, I can make, I've made as much as $1,000 or $2,000 a week. So in terms of free cash flow. So that pretty well covers it. I may have some more thoughts here. Let me pause this thing and see where I stand. I guess I've done about as well as I can do. It's a difficult subject to cover just in 10 minutes or so. That's the reason it's so important that you follow my website, where all my trades are meticulously documented and all the settlements are documented. And that combined with the transaction set PowerPoint document you can make sense of it. Now, if you wanted to pick up a book like Michael Sincere's Understanding Options book, that gives you the overall picture of what it's about and why people do it, particularly the traders. I know why I do it. But anyway, if it was easy, I guess everybody would do it, right? So it will take a little bit of effort, and I'm going to try to improve my weekly settlement presentations, such as this one. I'm sort of thinking I'll do better to have an easel where I can actually put the chart up and talk about it. I don't know that I need an easel. I hold that pretty steady. But anyway, as you can see, this is my first video on a settlement, and that goes backwards. I was looking in the mirror. Anyway, I'll try to improve it so it won't be torture in any event. Well, I'm glad you watched it. The links that you need to follow are at the bottom of in the description below. And the first thing you got to do is to download that transaction set PDF and print it out. You've got to understand that. The reason it's so important is that my mark-to-market value of my account goes up and down, up and down, up and down, as the price of the stock goes up and down, up and down. I'm not in this for stock price appreciation. Instead, I'm in it for the income it produces. I'm trying to, an analogy for that would be if you had a house that you were renting. Well, the selling value of that house, if you put it on the market, will vary from month to month, year to year, whatever. But you got it rented, you got that steady income coming in regardless of what the present value of the property is. So that's sort of how you have to look at this. Well, it would be the same if you have a 401k and some of it's invested in the stock market. You'll see on your monthly statements, you see that value of that thing go up and down, up and down, up and down. And in that case, when retirement comes or whenever you wanted to liquidate that, you'd have to take great care to liquidate it when the stock prices are higher. The beauty part about this is I get income all the time, regardless of whether the market's up or down. Now, recently, I made an investment outside of the market and needed to draw $10,000 out of my account, which I did. That was a year ago, and I've recovered about 7,000 of that already. Where did that come from? So at some point in time, I will be back to the amount of the account value that I had before I took the 10,000 out. Also, recently I took out 500, but I mean, that's the whole point of the exercise, is to have income that you can spend or use for whatever purpose you need to. And selling covered options certainly does that. Thank you very much for watching. I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notice button. The notification button is important so that you'll be notified when I put new videos online. And I'll do that almost every day, maybe not on Sunday, but 6 days a week, pretty much all the time, unless I'm just unable to do so. All right, have a good day. Thank you very much for watching.